Hello everyone, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to do ground placement and animation in CrowdMaster. So for this tutorial, all I'm going to use is a cube for my agent. So let's select everything else and delete it. Now before I get started actually setting up the node trees, I'm going to want to make some edits to my cube. First of all, I want it to be just a bit smaller. So let's hit the S key for scale and then 0.5 on your keyboard so that it scales by half. Now you can see that the scale is half of 1, so 0.5. Next thing we're going to want to do is apply the scale. So Control A and then choose Scale. Or you can go to Object, Apply, and then Scale. And you'll see that the scale has been applied here, but the dimensions are saved. So last thing we want to do to this is we want the origin point to be on the bottom of the cube. So to do this, we can go into edit mode by hitting tab and then hit the G key for grab and then Z and then hit 0.5, and then if we exit edit mode, you will see that the origin point is now on the bottom of the box instead of the middle. So now let's move this to the last layer. You don't have to do this, but I like to do it just so that our main layer doesn't stay cluttered with all the agents that we're going to be adding. So we're doing ground placement, so we're going to want an object to use as the ground. So I already have one here, so I'm going to do File, Append, and then I have a group here called Ground. And all this has in it is just a plane, and again the group's name is ground. So let's start creating these agents. So I'm going to turn off the toolbar, split my view, open up a node editor, and choose the CrowdMaster agent generation node tree. Hit new, and we can start adding these nodes. So let's hit Shift A to add in nodes, go under Geometry, and choose the Object Input node. Let us choose our cube object in the Object panel there. And then let's add in a template node from the Template menu. Connect these up. We can turn off Deferred Geometry for right now, we don't need it. And let's set the brain type to Ground Test. Next, we are going to want to add in a positioning ground node, and this node is the one that does all the work. So under the ground option here, let's choose our plane, connect these up, add in a positioning random. You can use any type of positioning, formation or target, but I'm just using random positioning for this example. Connect these up. I'm going to set the number of agents to 50 just because I want our simulation to be sort of fast, and then I can set the radius, the max radius, to 10. And then lastly we can go to other and add a generate node. So if we connect these up and hit generate agents, you can see that all of our agents are now aligned to our ground. And if this grid is getting in your way, if it's a little distracting, just turn on only render and you won't see it anymore. And so the cool thing with generation is if you just keep hitting generate agents, you can see that the positioning updates, and if you find one that you like a little better, you can just keep hitting this and see one that looks a little better to you. If you see, some of these are starting to overlap a bit. So one thing is you can keep clicking it, but sometimes this doesn't always work, in this case here. So we have this relax tool. So what this does is it sort of adds a radius in between all and sort of starts to disregard this max radius option here and spaces each agent out. So right now it's not doing much because it's set to 1, but if we set the relax radius to 2 and hit generate, you'll see each of these agents is now spaced out a little farther apart, and none of them really should be touching. But if they still are, try turning up the relax iterations. Let's turn this, and here we go. A much better result. There we go. So, now that we've got this, we can start simulating. So, if you remember, we set the brain type to ground test. So let's go in, hit new node tree under the CrowdMaster agent simulation node tree, and name this ground test. So for this example today, I'm just going to set up the simplest motion by adding in an input node, setting it to constant. I'm going to set the value to 0.2. The higher you put this, the faster each agent moves. And then I'm going to add an output node with an output of position Y, and then I'm going to connect this up. And all this is doing is telling each of these agents to move in their Y, their relative Y location, at a constant velocity of 0.2. So if we run the simulation, you'll see what's going on. They're just going straight, and they're disregarding everything else. They're just going straight through the ground, and you know, they can sort of run into each other too. So what we want to do is we want to align these to the ground. So all you have to do is add in another input node, set this to ground, and in this ground group we choose the group that we named ground, and then we add in a basic map node. We connect these out, we set the lower output to -1, and then we add another output node with the output set to position Z. Connect these up, and we can start the simulation. Now you see all of our agents follow the ground. The great thing about this is that this setup here, these three nodes, work on any type of animation, any crowd animation node tree. So, just to demonstrate this, I'm going to import in a node tree that I already have set up. And what this one is doing is it is giving all of the agents independent brains so that they can walk off on their own path and then react if another agent is in their way, so they won't go through anything. And then I have it set up so that we have this exact same ground node setup. So to make this work, let's name this one ground test. Rename this to test here just so that CrowdMaster understands which one we're talking about. And then now if we start our simulation, it's a bit slower because the computations are much more complex. And if you can see, they are still following the ground with just these three nodes. But if we let the sim run for a bit longer, you'll see them start to branch out on their own paths and cut around each other and do all different kinds of stuff like that. So I'll just set the frames higher. And there you go. They're sort of starting to branch off there. But the point is, you can put it onto anything you have and it'll instantly work. So, you know, it's really easy, really useful, and just so helpful. So, thanks for watching. If you want this file to take a look at, you can simply go to the CrowdMaster website, and under the download page, if you choose the view on GitHub under example files, this file is right here, ground placement and animation, and it's the exact same file that I have right here. Everything is set up exactly the same. So if you just want to take a look at that, feel free, it's there. I hope you learned something. Thanks for watching, and have a good day.